The truth is, Rick Ross has had a long, luxurious music career, becoming one of hip-hop's biggest rap stars. His career will take off in the 2000s, and he will stay relevant for years to come. Rick Ross has released several hits that have topped the Billboard charts, establishing him as one of the heavyweights in the music industry. What if I told you that Rick Ross isn't who he claims to be? That he is not only a fraud, but also something far more sinister? Join me in this episode as we uncover the dark truth about Rick Ross. Rick Ross was born January 28, 1976 in Clarksdale, Mississippi. He will move to Carol City, Florida at an early age, and this is where he will be raised. After Rick Ross graduated high school, he would get a football scholarship to attend Albany State University. In 1995, when Ross was 19 years old, he would get a job as a correctional officer where he worked for 18 months. Just 3 years later, Rick Ross would end up getting his first record deal with the record label Suave House Records in the year 2000, getting signed directly by the label's owner, Tony Draper. Ross, who was going by the name Teflon Don, would make his first ever debut on the song called Ain't to Discuss on one of Eric Sermon's albums after signing with the label. Ross would end up changing his name to Rick Ross in the mid-2000s, taking the name directly from a kingpin, Freeway Ricky Ross, who was serving time in prison for trafficking. In 2006, Suave House Records was experiencing budget issues within the label, so Rick Ross was allowed to sign another record deal in order to finish his project. This would spark a bidding war between Bad Boy Records, Murder Inc. Records, and Def Jam Records, with Ross eventually signing to Slip and Slide Records that was under Def Jam Records. Shortly after signing with Slip and Slide Records, Rick Ross will release his debut album, Port of Miami, with his mega hit song Hustlin' that would help him make it onto the Billboard charts, selling over 187,000 copies during his first week. This would establish his presence in the music industry, sparking the start of his long, luxurious music career. This is what you may already know about Rick Ross, but the truth is far more sinister. I have come to believe that Rick Ross sold his soul to the devil for fame and fortune, and became one of the biggest frauds in hip-hop. The reason I have come to this conclusion is no other than Rick Ross himself. His music and actions all paint a clear picture on who Rick Ross really is and what he stands for. Like we've seen many times before on this channel, many of the biggest artists have fabricated their past. Rick Ross has to be the best example of this. Ross is no doubt an industry plant, and we can easily see this as he got his first record deal before having any music out. He was literally a correctional officer 3 years before he would get signed to his first record deal. In 1997, Ross would quit his job working as a correctional officer, and by 2000, he was signed to a record label. In just 3 years, he had a music career. Most of us know how the music industry works, and artists that get picked up like Ross did are usually industry plants. The fact that he has so many record labels interested in him before he dropped any hits is also a big red flag to me. Ross had 3 of the biggest labels in hip-hop bidding against each other to see who can sign an unknown Rick Ross at the time. This normally doesn't happen, but Rick Ross wasn't no normal artist. I believe Rick Ross was already a Freemason by the time he was signed to his first record deal. This is why I believe the record labels were heavily invested in him before he even showed promise of being able to sell records. The record labels in the 2000s were still signing unknown talent and developing them, making them into superstars. This is clearly the case for Rick Ross, as before he was signed, he still wasn't known in the music scene. After the record label signed Rick Ross, they needed to make sure they created an image for him that would sell records and align with the Masonic agenda. Presenting him as an overweight ex-correctional officer wouldn't sell many records, so the label needed to find a way to present Rick Ross to the world. Making Ross take the persona of the real kingpin Rick Ross worked perfectly. Ross made a career claiming that he was the biggest boss when indeed he was the biggest fraud. Rick Ross was a college-educated man who at one point was in charge of watching over criminals, but in his raps he would have the world believe that he was the criminal and the biggest kingpin to ever live, hustling the streets of Miami from the bottom till he made it to the top. I am 100% positive the only thing Rick Ross was hustling was his music. His music promoted values that aligned perfectly with the Masonic agenda. Ross glorified the street life and often rapped about being in the streets, hustling, when in reality he was just telling stories that sounded good on the mic. Song after song, Ross would rap about the bricks he was flipping that never existed. He promoted a lifestyle he never lived, that he knew was destructive, but chose to sell out and spread a destructive lifestyle to his own people. When Ross first came out, he presented himself as he was the real Rick Ross, who was really living that lifestyle. When rumors started to circulate regarding Ross being a fraud, after a photo appeared to show him in a correctional officer uniform, he would deny it, claiming that it wasn't him in the photo.
Trick Daddy recently accused you of working as a prison guard at one point, Rick. Is there any truth to that?
No, that's not true. But that's disappointing to hear that he said that. He said that?
That's what the question said, yeah.
That's crazy. It's not true, man, but, you know, dog a sucker, and he mad that, you know, I done came out of nowhere and just, you know, took over the streets like that.
Remember that before you got in the game, you was a correctional officer. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's saying on websites they got pictures of them in a uniform, and now it's coming up. They saying that they got a picture like your pay stub or something like that.
Like I say, in the game we in, it's real competitive.
Right.
And competitors got to do whatever they got to do to compete.
Right.
We making the best music. Y'all see the BET Awards, y'all see the magazines. We the biggest in the game,
right.
Best in the game. Just keeping it real, you know what I'm talking about? The time somebody attack my character, like I say, man, you get nothing from the boss. I don't hate is the pleasure, you know, dig what I'm saying? And, you know, just keep the rumors coming, because we're going to keep the records coming, we're going to keep the music coming. Like I say, I'm one of the purest sources of this real street music.
As the evidence would start to pile on him, especially after the real Rick Ross would come out exposing the fake Rick Ross, he would have no choice but to admit he was a fraud, admitting that he indeed stole another man's identity to sell records.
Pictures of a graduation ceremony. The pictures appear to be Rick Ross. Now, I'm reading in XXL where, I haven't got a chance to get the XXL, but they said, okay, Rick Ross finally confesses or owns up to being addresses being a correctional officer. So our first chance to talk about this.
Right.
Rick Ross, where did the picture come from? Is that Rick Ross? Was Rick Ross a CO? Was that created, or is that a real picture?
See, this is what we did, right? I got with BET, and we doing a whole special on my life, chronicling my life. For a lot of people that just really want to know what the situation is. The boss done did it all to get money. And what you got to understand is, if rumors surfaced, it wasn't because, and people feel like I didn't address them, it wasn't because of my selfish reasons, but you got to understand, when you answer certain things, it may go to what was going on, who was involved, what the situation really was. So what we did was, we got with BET and we chronicled my life so people could understand that by the time I was 17 years old, 18 years old, I was in you know what I mean, a nice home. I was in whips. I was doing a lot of different things. And then, you know, I made a few moves, you understand? And I feel like they was the best decisions for me to be.
The record labels didn't want this to ever come out. This greatly discredited the image the record label worked hard to build for Ross. They needed his character to appear as real and believable as possible. This way it can be more effective in manipulating those who listen to his music. The record labels used Ross to rap about the lifestyle they wanted to promote that was targeted at urban communities. Ross promoted a lifestyle that influenced the youth that consumed his music to live a life that led them directly to prison or a casket. He glamorized a destructive lifestyle that he never lived. It's clear that Rick Ross is a Masonic puppet, but at one point I wasn't so sure. I had come to believe that Rick Ross could have been faking his Masonic alliance, just like he faked his life story. There was a video on YouTube of a Masonic lodge that appeared to expose Rick Ross for being a fake Mason. The video showed a group of men that appeared to be Masons making claim that Ross wasn't a real Freemason. The video then goes to show Rick Ross being asked if he was a Freemason by one of the members, with Ross responding no.
Brothers behind me, and to the brothers out there in the YouTube world, you know what I'm saying, from Freedom Lodge #1, Grandmaster Aten Ray, you know, we pay homage to all the Grandmasters of 4-letter and 3-letter. We stand in solidarity by saying that Rick Ross, William Wallace, is not in the order of Masonry. On the song Freemason, was that a Masonic song for the brothers out here?
It was just a record that was for people who understood it, you know what I'm saying, and love music at the same time. You know
okay, you a Mason?
No.
Okay, thank you.
When I saw this back then, I had no choice but to believe Ross. I thought he was faking his Masonic membership as he faked his life story. Eventually, I found out Ross was lying when he said that he wasn't a Freemason, and he was indeed a Freemason. The reason for this is the Mason that approached and questioned Ross wasn't a real legit Freemason. He was most likely from a fraudulent lodge, as there's many fake lodges all over the US. The fake Mason didn't even ask Ross if he was a Mason the correct way. When a Mason wants to ask another Mason if they're a member, they would ask him if he's a traveling man. In my interview with a Freemason, the Mason I interviewed admitted that he knew Rick Ross was a Freemason member. He even refers to one of Rick Ross' tracks, Freemason. Hip-hop culture seems to embrace Freemasonry. Would you say rappers like Jay-Z and Kanye West are Freemason? And if so, which rappers do you think are Freemasons?
I know Rick Ross. Ross is a Mason.
Ross most likely knew there were fake Masons from their approach. He was also in a very public place, surrounded by cameras and people. It would have literally made no sense to admit that he's a Mason to a random man in front of all those people. Ross is obviously a Freemason, and we can see him show his alliance time and time again. Like I've said before, any person that is signed to Jay-Z is most likely a Freemason. I've already done a video on Jay-Z, and I explained why I believe Jay-Z is a Masonic puppet. I do not find it coincidental that Ross was signed to Def Jam right before his career will take off. Rick Ross and Jay-Z even have a song together called Freemason. Rick Ross can be heard in this song clearly rapping about his oath and his secret knowledge. In the song, Ross admits to being a Mason in code. In the song, Rick Ross raps, "I embark on life, my path is all math. I understand the codes these hackers can't crack. We done lost symbols, speaking cryptic code. Ancient wisdom, valuable like gifts of gold." This is Ross secretly admitting that he is indeed a Mason. When Ross raps, "I embark on my life, my path is all math," he is talking about the Masons believe in sacred geometry. The Masons believe that sacred geometry is the basis on which their superstructure of Freemasonry and everything in existence in the entire universe goes back to. Ross admits that he understands the Freemasons' code that the rest of the people don't know about. He talks about knowing the sacred knowledge the Freemasons learn as they rise in Masonic degrees. Ross talks about speaking in Masonic codes so only other Masonic brothers can understand them. On the song, Ross also raps, "Freemason, freelancer, free agents, we faster. Big contracts, big contractors. Build pyramids, period, we masters." Clearly telling the world that he is indeed a member of the Freemason. In this song, Jay-Z and Ross try to make it seem as they're not Masons, as they try to confuse their listeners. But anybody who knows anything about the Masons know that everything Ross said at the beginning of this song clearly points to Ross being a member. There's a video on YouTube of Ross giving Diddy a tour of his mansion that he purchased in Georgia. In the video, Diddy can be seen walking around Ross's mansion. We can clearly see that Ross even wanted his home to represent his Masonic alliance. In the video, Diddy can be seen dancing in between two Masonic pillars on top of a Masonic symbol called the Key of Solomon. The Key of Solomon is a symbol that is in the spell book that King Solomon wrote. Diddy knew what he was doing, as he was probably showing off the success of one of his Masonic brothers. There's another part of the video that shows the famous checkerboard floors. Ross built his mansion with a Masonic theme for a reason. Ross even openly sarcastically admitted to being a part of the Illuminati in an interview with Tim Westwood. Like I said before, I don't believe any of these rappers are real Illuminati member, as that is impossible. The Illuminati is a bloodline and you could only be born into it. Ross is referring to the Freemasons, as when you are a Mason, you can learn the teachings of the Illuminati. In the interview, Ross openly talks about his membership with Tim Westwood, who both claim to be members. There's a part of the video where Tim asks Ross about Masonry, and Ross just skips right over the question.
I don't know about it, because then y'all in that secret Illuminati. You know, remember I hooked you up, bro?
Thank you for the bringing, baby.
How's everything been
that's treating me so well.
So if y'all want to get signed up, hit my homie up. I gave him that plug.
Are we accepting new members for the Illuminati? I don't know if we are. I'll ask Jay-Z.
Let's accept 20.
Okay.
Let's accept 20.
Illuminati looks good for me, man. Used to be the Freemason.
And for everybody.
In Rick Ross's music video for his song Crocodile Python, we again see openly Rick Ross showing the world who he represents. In the song, Rick Ross can be seen wearing several massive snakes around his neck. We all know what the serpent represents. In this song, Ross again mentions the Illuminati. The video for this song is full of dark imagery, clearly showing what side Rick has chosen to be on. Just like we've seen many artists do that are associated with the Masons when they speak about their affiliation, they try to confuse the fans, hoping they won't find the truth. Rick Ross knows he isn't in the Illuminati, but he is for sure a Freemason. There's a video that I remember seeing from years back that showed the woman who claimed to be a music video model who was hired to be in one of Rick Ross's music videos. She claims that while they were recording the music video, she was instructed to chant 666.
When I was on the Sean Garrett and Rick Ross music video for 6 in the morning, the director said for everybody to throw up the number 6. And for us to all say, you know, come on, 6, 6. Like, it was making like fun. Like, if I wouldn't have known what it really meant, it just would have went right over my head like it did most people that were there.
So wait a second, say that again. What happened there?
He basically, everybody there was chanting 666. This guy is telling us to all say 666, and I'm like, nobody finds that strange.
I am not able to 100% confirm if this woman's story is true, but you can decide that for yourself. I know how the music industry operates, and this doesn't sound too surprising to me. Ross sold his soul to the devil for the life he always wanted. He pretended to be a kingpin, spreading destructive morals to his own people. Ross made music telling his own people to live a lifestyle that only offers two things, prison or a casket, a lifestyle he never lived himself. He was used to further the Masonic agenda that has been destroying the lives of millions of people, especially the youth, for his self-beneficial gain. We know there is no way Rick Ross would be as big of a star he is if he wasn't serving the agenda. Ross wouldn't be around men like Jay-Z or P. Diddy if he wasn't aligned with them. Ross had a song called Devil Is a Lie that featured Jay-Z. In the song, Ross raps the devil is a lie, and he is the proof. He couldn't have said it any better, as everything about Rick Ross is a lie, created by the devil to spread evil to the world. As we've seen time and time again on this channel, these artists can't be trusted. Their music was created to guide the masses further away from God. These artists sold their souls in order to be known by the world. We must not let these artists manipulate us and guide us to a burning end. We must remember to help those who can't see the truth, find the truth. Thank you for watching this episode of The Truth Is. If you would like to further support the channel, join me on Patreon, the link would be in the description. If you join before the 28th of this month, you could be entered to this month's monthly raffle, where you can win a shirt, a cash prize, and even pick a video topic. Also, please leave a comment below on your thoughts on this video and on any future topics you would like to see me cover on my channel. If you like this video, please hit the like button, as this helps other people find these videos. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of future videos. Please follow me on Instagram at TheTruthIs01 and on TikTok at TheTruthIs. I will gladly appreciate it. Thank you. Goodbye.